This conference will now be recorded.
So better to have that the audio properly. So that's why. Yeah. So today we'll be continuing with the demo two session. But generally, what is happening is our day one session only. So we'll be continuing with our what all we have started. We saw last session, if you remember, we saw the overview, right? We saw some basics of what we'll be covering and what is our core structure. And to just point out very specifically, this time we have added Kubernetes part due to like lot of demand. I meant like from the previous batches, and also we have got some requests to add these to the core structure based on the current market trend and demand for these new technologies. So what we have done is we have added Kubernetes, even microservices, like how you test basics of that, like what specifically you need to look for when you're testing microservices. But that is more sort of the analysis part, like how you analyze microservices. Specifically if you have some, because generally in microservices APIs come into play a lot. So when you're testing an API, what are the key points which you need to take care using JMeter, and all those stuff we'll be covering there. Then also we'll be seeing some basics on the Dockers and containers, like some basic commands, etc., which are useful as a performance engineer to analyze the logs of a container or a Docker. How you can do that, how you can install things using a Docker, those things and all. We'll be seeing basics in which is an extra in this batch, which we'll be starting. So yeah, that I wanted to call out. So today we'll be jumping into the introductory module of performance and JMeter. Okay, so let me share my screen. So I'll be sharing this drive link with all of you. So all these materials, code, the notes which I am showing, okay, will be available to you all. So need to write it down again. Anyways, because I will be sharing all this to you. Even the videos will be there recording for you. Only thing what you can do is you can practice hands-on when I am doing side by side, so that we don't have the confusions. Okay. Right. So basically, now when we speak about JMeter, there are multiple things which you need to learn. First is mainly the 12 major elements which are there in JMeter, and then we need to know how do we record scripts in JMeter, like basically how you set up a server, proxy server, how you set up an HTTP versus HTTPS recording. Then in recording itself, if you can divide, there is web services, there is the mobile app also. So we need to know how we record a mobile app, how we record a web service, and also then how we need to know how we do an API testing. Okay, then we need to know some mainly some ports, okay, which we can use. With that we will be seeing, and then we will be seeing some filtering, what we how we do, then how we generally do a script recording, in real time, when there is a web service, how you go to a web browser and how you record that, and how you try to enhance your script. So enhance is basically when you're doing it for one user, there won't be any issue, but when you're doing it for multiple users, right, that same script, so there has to be some enhancements which you need to do, especially with the dynamic values. So with that we will be seeing like how in JMeter we handle the dynamic parameters, dynamic values, and how we will inculcate those into our scripts. Okay, and some best practices which we need to do. And what I have done is basically, I have created a list of best practices, like that, the way, like how you can create a script from end to end, like from starting from first step to the last, so that you can follow to create a script. In that way, you will have a proper procedure to create the scripts that you can use. Okay, so these things, these note file, I will be sharing with you all also. So for later on, you can use this as a reference once the course is done. That time also. Right. So how many of you are from performance background here? Just can I get a quick like just what domain you are from, like the technology? Pushpak,
Yes, I am
is
from
it?
performance test.
Okay, thank you, Pushpak. Vishal, Vishal, you on the call?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm not from the performance testing.
Okay, thank you, Vishal. Yeah. So what's your domain, Vishal? Is it testing or some development
Yeah.
or yeah?
Yes, yes, it is a testing, the
Okay, okay,
regression
yeah.
testing type
Okay,
of.
okay, yeah. Thank you, Vishal. Lavanya.
Uh, I'm a functional tester, so I
Yeah.
just want to learn performance testing.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Lavanya. Shansha.
Yeah.
So I'm performance tester. I have other experience on JMeter.
Okay, so you already have geometry experience. So what is the expectation, Shansha, from this course you have?
Actually, I want to learn something new in this. I mean, bin shell, how to involve, and API testing, and what are the new topics like Kubernetes, Docker.
Okay,
I
okay,
know some
mm,
basic topics on Docker and Kubernetes. So that's what
okay,
I want to learn that one also.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, Shansha. Yeah. Thank you. Murli. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Murli. Pranita. Okay. Ravinder. Soumya.
I'm from performance background, Vishnu, for the last 12 years, but I'm
Okay.
basically a load runner person and completely new to JMeter.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Soumya. Suma Reddy? Su-
I am a fresher, sir. So I
okay,
want to
okay.
learn new course. Yeah,
Okay, okay. No issues.
thank
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Suma. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Soumya. You too. Molika?
I'm from financial backgrounds,
Financial in sense
commerce
like the what?
background.
Okay. So,
Actually, I'm in GL SAP,
okay, okay,
GL
okay. Yeah, I got
accounting and R2 or SAP. Yeah, and
it. Yeah. So
on that part,
basically,
I'm
okay, okay. So you want to switch to testing? Is that
yes.
okay? Okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Molika. Gulam Sadiq?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Because why I'm trying to understand from which domains you are so that I can focus on those topics because if I assume let's say that's like everyone is from performance then I will go in that direction. Okay, so since I have a mixed population here I can plan it in such a way like I will not assume anything that you know. Okay, so that's why I want to know the audience well. Gulam Sadiq, are you there in the call? Anusha? Neeraj?
Technical support background and a little bit of manual testing.
Okay, okay, yeah. That's good because so people who have little bit of testing background also that will be helpful. So who are totally new to testing, they might feel little hard to grab some concepts, but that is also not that tough. Once if you listen it twice, maybe once I take here, once you go through the recordings again, it will be clear. Okay, so no worries. Srikant, Balaji. Okay, Madhu.
It's the performance testing.
Oh, okay, okay, Srikant. Okay. So, how many which tools you have used, Srikant, before?
Vishnu, sorry, I'm a fresher.
Okay, 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 Srikant. Yeah, that's fine. Balaji.
I think Balaji has said he has experience, not me.
Oh,
Okay, okay,
yeah,
okay,
Vishnu.
okay. Yeah, Balaji. So, which all tools you have used?
Automation is good. I used an
Yes, Balaji.
automation. Automation. I used an automation. But I need
Okay,
to.
okay, 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 okay. Yeah, thank you, Balaji. Madhu.
No, I'm not working, sir.
Okay,
I'm a fresher
so
here. Completely.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, no issues. So basically, we have I think a few freshers. Then we have uh, totally non-testing audience. Also, we have few. Yeah, that's fine. So we will be like taking the classes in such a way only, so that we don't cover any. Like for example, like if I say directly throughput, so performance guys will know it, but the other people might not know what the throughput is or what is a if I say out some 90th percentile or some response time. So that's why I wanted to know the audience so that when I say throughput, at least I give some background regarding that, what it is, and so that everyone is aware what I am speaking about. Right. Okay. So that's good. Like we have a pretty much wider audience. Even we can share things with each other. Like even some who are from automation, they can share something with the performance, and in that way, this might be an interactive session. Yes. So right. Okay, so since we are from different backgrounds, what I will do is let's start with the little bit of a performance basics. Okay, so let me open my Jamboard. So generally, how I do is like we have a 1.5 hour of session, right? So whatever theory is there, I try to take it at the beginning, then maybe half an hour, and then I go to the the lab part. I mean the tool, the remaining 1 hour and so, because so that everyone don't like, so that the audience doesn't get bored of a lot of theory in one class or a lot of even lab in one class. So we have a balance. So yeah, so now we will start with the like we'll try to understand some basic. So whenever we are starting with performance, so basically, how is performance different from other testing? What we do, we know performance is a non-functional testing, right? Uh, but what are the main things which we focus in performance? Anyone? Yeah. So anyone from who can like anyone from performance, they can call out like what are the basic, like what is it which we are interested in understanding when we speak about performance?
How the website or web application is functioning when a lot of users are using at the same time.
Correct. Yeah, that's the way which we will we can see it more sort of if you want to say it in layman terms. But what, let's say if I want to speak now the same thing what Neeraj said in a technical way. So that's why when we say we are interested in two things. One is the load. Okay, so how much load my application or whatever infrastructure or whatever is running in the background is able to handle. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is the stability, which is very important. Okay, so what do we mean by stability? So what if I say like this application is stable? What do I mean by that? Any guess? Anyone?
Consistent performance. Like,
Correct. Yes. So stability means consistency. Okay. So what, not only with respect to the performance or whatever, but even the pages or what you are getting from that, like the results what you're getting should be consistent. Okay. So that's more sort of the stability. So now when we speak about so two things we spoke now, right? We spoke about the load, and now we are speaking about the stability. So now if someone asks you like how performance is different from any testing, any other testings, like for example automation. So there you are not interested in load or stability. Okay. Even if there are some other testings which you do, like even failover testing. So how is performance different from failover testing? Anyone? Any guess?
Failover testing means
Yeah. So basically, see, if there is a testing called failover testing where you try to analyze the system, whether your system is able to withstand any failures. Okay. So you test the system in such a way that you induce that failure and you try to see whether the application will be able to withstand that failure. Like what, how is the propagation happening? Is there a cascading failure? And all those stuff happens when we do a failover testing. So that is very much similar to performance, but only thing there, the difference is you're not worried about the load or stability. So that's why whenever someone asks like how is performance different from other testing, or what is performance all about, you should speak about load and stability. So now when we speak about load and stability, whenever you have something, you need something called KPI, right? some key point indicators which show, like for example, if I say load and stability, my application is performing well because of the load test and load wise and the stability wise. That doesn't, and how will I justify it? I need some KPI, right? So what are the KPIs you think which is related to the load? So we have the response time. Now, so why do I say response time? So see, now whenever there is a load, when there are 10 users, let's say, okay, when there is 10 users, so we have 10 users, my application is taking, let's say my main page or the landing page, the first home page is taking 1 second, 10 seconds to load, okay, completely. Now with 100 users, will it be higher or lower?
Lower.
Means like your users are increasing, so your time will also increase, right? Because it is more load on your system,
Yeah, yeah.
correct? Or either it will be equal, sometimes it can be equal if due to some reasons like auto scaling is there or something in your system, but generally it can't be below, it cannot go below what you got for 10 users, okay? So it will be higher, let's say 100 seconds to load. So now if you see, if I plot the graph, okay, users and time graph. So for 10 users, my time was 10 seconds. 100 users, my time is 100 seconds. So if I plot it, what do you see? What do you see? With users, my response time is increasing, right? For 10 it was here, now for 100 it is here. So more my users, more the response time. So what is basically this users? Users is nothing but load, right? So more the load, more the response time. That's what I'm seeing in this application, whatever application I'm testing. So that's why response time is a good KPI for load. Clear, everyone? What I wanted to convey? Uh, Neeraj?
Yes, got it.
Yeah. So KPI for load is response time, right? Now let's come to stability. Stability, what do you think the KPI could be? Yeah. So in stability, we have something called a throughput. So let's understand what is a throughput in little detail, okay? Because this is very important thing to know, which is a very fundamental thing which you will use again and again in performance as such. Okay. So before I go to throughput, what is a throughput? Let's understand what is a request, okay, and what is a transaction and all those. So like let's say I have a server, okay, or let's say I have a browser, okay, I have a browser, okay. I hit a request, it goes to my server back. We will come back to this in detail. What is a server, what is a browser and all when we see the architecture, okay, like the 3-tier architecture and all. When we speak about that, we will see what is a server and all. For now, you just try to imagine in such a way that let's say I search something onto some website, okay, like let's say I went to this Isha Training Solutions.org, right? So in browser, I entered Isha Training Solutions, Isha.org something. Okay, some website I opened. So that will go to the server. So this is basically an address. Okay. So Isha.org already my global network knows. Okay, Isha.org means I need to go to this house. It's like an address. This server I need to go. This server could be anywhere. Okay, maybe it is in Bangalore or Chennai or somewhere. Okay, it is located. Browser can be anywhere. And browsers, as you know, can be any number also, like 1 2 3. Server will be only one in general case. Okay, it can be in multiple locations for, like, let's say some disaster recovery or something, but for now I'm assuming it is only in one place, maybe in Bangalore. So all these requests will go to that server. Okay, different browsers. So now I'm focusing on only one browser. Okay, so I have isha.org, I send it to the server. Okay, now the server, after analyzing this request, it will send a response back. So that response is what you are seeing here as a web page. So if I try to do inspect element here, so now let's say this is a make my trip. So what I do generally, I will this website, right? Control C. So if I enter this website, once I enter, it starts reloading. See, it's loading. That means it is getting the response back from the server. And once it gets the response back from the server, it is printing on the browser or web page or browser, whichever you are using. So if I do inspect element here, if I go to network, now what I will do is I'll just try to reload this. Okay. See, these are all the requests which I have sent. Okay, and I'm getting it back like a response. Okay, and this is what it is using here to print this page. Now, for example, this is the first main request. Now, if I try to see that request here, so I am hitting request URL, this one, and if you see the response, see, this is the total HTML response which I'm getting back. So this response I'm getting from the server. Now, using this response only, Google is printing all this onto your screen. HTML is basically a markup language, right? It's a painting language. So it is painting it onto your screen. Okay. So now where do I get this response? I get it from the server. Okay. So that is this one, the response. So I get it in the from the server. So I have a request which I send to a server. So why do I call it a request? Because I'm requesting the server, please give me. Okay, so the browser is requesting the server, okay, please give me the response, and server is giving the response. Now, if your request is not correct, will the server give a response? Um, Someone?
No, no.
No, right? Yes. That's why whenever you see, if you see this request here, so this is the request URL, this is the request method. We'll come to these in detail what all these are, but for now these are the components inside the request. Okay, so now if any of these is wrong, like even the request method is wrong, or if the request URL is wrong, or even the request header something is wrong, okay, then too I will not get the response. Now, why do I don't get the response when the request is wrong? What could be the reason? Like, why my server is not adding that header, or like if there is no get method, I'm sending post method, it already knows, okay, there is no URL with post method, so I can add just get and send back the response. Why the server is not doing that? To avoid the tampering, right? See, someone would have tampered your request from between, maybe more sort of hacking sort of thing, right? So that's why your request has to be very proper. If your request is wrong, my server will not know whether the browser from which I am sending it is correct or not. It could be some hacking which is which is happening, like my website is being hacked or something. Okay, that's why the request has to be proper. So this is a request. Okay, so coming back to the throughput. So now we know what is a request. So if I have one browser and I am sending a request R1 to the server, okay, Now I have, let's say 3 browsers, and this is R2, this is R3. Okay, so how many requests are going now to the server?
3.
3, right? So let's say my request goes, okay, and comes back in 1 second. In 1 second, I get the the complete web page. Okay, I get it in 1 second. One request. Even this one, 1 second. Even this one, 1 second. So basically, and you just consider, okay, this what you are hitting is all simultaneously. I meant there's no gap. Okay, not after once I hit this request, I hit this request. I hit, no, not like that. I hit all together. Okay, so basically my request is taking 1 second. Okay, but a response time, what it is taking, all R1, R2, R3 is taking 1 second. So there are 3 requests. Okay, total 3 requests are there, and I am hitting these 3 requests every 1 second. So every 1 second, I am hitting these 3 requests again and again. So if I speak about throughput, so what is it? How many number of requests I am hitting per second? 3. So 3 requests per second. So this is my, we call, requests per second. Getting my point? Why it is 3 requests per second? So every 1 second, I am hitting 3 requests. So that's why it is called 3 requests per second. So in every second, there is 3 requests going to the server. Getting my point? Everyone? Anyone doubt why this 3 requests per second? Anyone? Um, um, uh, Molika, any doubts?
No, sir, got it.
Right? Yeah. So now this 3 requests per second, if, like, let's say I have 3 requests per second. Now this is my, let's say, RPS. Okay, requests per second. Now if I convert it to minutes, so how many requests are going in a minute? How can I find out? Requests per minute. I need to
16 to
multiply it by 60,
6.
right? So I will get 180 requests per minute. So this is the throughput. So throughput is basically RPM. Okay. So how many requests are going per minute is called throughput. Okay. So whenever if someone asks you what is a throughput, it is number of requests per minute. Now, so we have one throughput is 180 requests per minute. Now there is something called a transaction also. So what is a transaction? Now let's say my browser is there. I am doing a login. Okay, I'm doing a login. So that the request is for login. Okay, I'm doing a login work. So this work is called transaction. So I'm doing a login transaction. Now in this login, like for example, I send one request. So the login, the total login has more than one request. I meant if there is some way, some development scenario backside which says, okay, after it goes to this, it will go to that. So there are 2 requests to the server which will come. Okay, for doing one login. So that means for one transaction there is 2 requests. So in that case, transaction and request will be different. I meant the count will be different. But if most of the time transaction and request will be same, the count of request and count of transaction will be same. That's why in those cases we say throughput is equal to X transactions per minute. So when can I say this? When can I say throughput is X transactions per minute? When there is only one request in one transaction. Getting my point? Clear, like what is a transaction and what is a request?
Can you please repeat transaction and request difference?
Sorry, which part?
Difference between
Vishal?
transaction and request.
Okay, yeah, Gulam. Yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, no issues. So see, now, like let's say, I am doing a login, okay? So login is a transaction. Now in this, when I do this login, when I want to do login, my browser sends a request, okay? It goes to the server, a response comes back. Then again a request goes after, means like after this is request one, response one. Then once I get the response one, a request two goes and a response two comes back. Then only if my login is complete. Like, so there are two requests which are required for this login to complete. There are some scenarios like that, okay? If that is a scenario, for one transaction there are two requests, okay? So when in such a case where the transaction and requests are not same, like for one transaction there is two requests, right? So throughput, if it is three requests per minute, if I want to write it in terms of transaction, it will be 1.5 transactions per minute. Getting?
Yes.
Yes, but if transaction and request are same, I meant only one request is going for that transaction, throughput will be three transactions per minute. Getting now, Gulab?
Thanks.
Okay. So that's what is all about throughput. So throughput, if someone asks you, it is in terms of per minute. So we always say it transactions per minute, because in most of the 90% cases, request and transactions count will be same. For one transaction, there will be one request. Generally, okay. And again, that is how you club your transactions, because sometimes I will feel, okay, login transaction, I will give some name, like this is a Vishnu transaction, okay? So some name I give to the transaction Vishnu, and in that transaction I group some group of requests. So I say all these requests together forms this transaction. So that time the count might change, some 5 requests or 6 requests in one transaction. So in that way you need to calculate the throughput then. Okay, but generally it is always one transaction is equal to one request. So throughput is equal to transactions per minute. So if someone asks you, uh, what is the difference like can is transactions per minute and request per minute same? Now I hope you can answer, right? Correct. Right. So now let's say I have 3600 transactions per hour. Okay, so how many transactions I have per minute? So what will be my throughput? So I am doing 3600 transactions per hour. Okay.
60.
60.
So we have 60 transactions per minute. So that's our throughput. Right. Correct. So yeah. So now we are clear about throughput. Let's go back to our stability.
So transaction can be in transaction per hour or it's mandatory to have in transaction per minute only, like throughput.
Yeah. So correct. Yeah. So when you say throughput, generally people speak in transactions per minute. Okay. But you can, if you explicitly say this is transactions per hour, then you can say any number, your time. Okay. You can choose hour, minute, or seconds. But if you want to give throughput, better to give it in per minute. That's the standard.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's about stability. So now let's come back to our topic. How throughput is a KPI for the stability. Okay, like how throughput will show you whether a system is stable or not. So now let's say I have a graph. Okay, basically I have the transaction graph. So like let's say if I have 5, 10, 15. Okay, so this is basically the throughput. Okay, so 5 transactions per minute, 10 transactions per minute, 15 transactions per minute, in that way. Okay, so basically it is transactions per minute. And here I have time, basically my test time. Okay, like let's say I'm running it for 1 hour. So 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40, 50, 60, like that. Okay. Now let my throughput is like at 10 minutes it is, let's say, 10. Okay. At 20 it is 15. At 30 it is 5. At 40 it is like, let's say, 10 again. Okay. And 50 it is so if I try to plot the graph, my graph is like this, something like that. So if I draw the mean here, like mean line, okay, this is the mean line. So how does this graph look like? So when I was hitting my application, like as like it's continuously I'm hitting with 100 users, like let's say 100 users. The users are same, okay, I'm not changing anything with users. It's constant, okay, users are constant, but my throughput is varying from 10, 15, 5. So is such a application stable?
No.
Yes, correct. So it's no. So from the throughput graph, we can find out, we can make out easily that if my is my application stable or not. Now, if I draw another graph, okay. So now again I start a test. At 10 it was 10, okay. At 20 it was, let's say, some 10.2, okay. And at 30 let's say it is some 10.2 again, okay. And at 40 let's say it is at 9.8 something, and 50 it is like, let's say, again at some 10.3. So now I just try to plot the graph, okay. So compared to the previous one, is this application stabler, like better compared to the previous?
Yes, we can
Yes.
consider this.
Correct, because it's under our tolerance limits, okay. So because no application you can find a straight line, it's a very ideal application. Generally it is difficult, there will be small variation, okay, like maybe 1% variation. So 1% variation is acceptable, or even some cases even 5% variation is acceptable, okay. So whenever you have small variation, such applications are stable. So that's where throughput, we speak it like a stability, okay. So if you have a throughput graph, you can easily say whether your application is stable or not. What you need to do is you need to run your test for a longer duration, like 1 hour, 2 hour continuously, and you can analyze the graph. By seeing the graph, throughput versus time graph, you can say whether your system is stable or not, right? Okay. So now we have load, we have stability. So for load, what is a KPI?
Request
Response time.
response time.
Correct.
Sorry.
Response time. Okay. And for stability, what is the KPI?
Throughput is the KPI.
Throughput.
Throughput. Correct. So these are the main two things which you report. Okay. Whenever you do any performance test, these are the two things which you report mainly: the response time and throughput. Now, response time, generally we also give something called a 90th percentile also, because see now throughput, like let's say throughput is like the average throughput, right? It's an average per second, right? So it's more sort of like an average. So like let's say this is the average, okay. Now but response time, there are two things: there is average and also a 90th percentile. Anyone aware what is a 90th percentile?
Mhm.
Excluding top 10% of transactions, I mean, that is called 98 percent.
Okay, so see, now let's say I have some 100 values, okay. Now what I do know, I uh, okay, simply let's start with the 10 values, okay. So my response time, I have some 10 values. Like let's say I have 10, I have 10, I have 9, then I have 9, then 8, 8, then all those 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 10 values I have. Okay. Total 10 values. So what I have done is I have sorted it in the descending order. I meant from highest to lowest. So 10 is the highest. So basically I am doing experiments. So I get some values like 10, 9, 8, 10, 8. So I have sorted these values, these 10 values in a descending order. Okay. So now if I want to find out the 90th percentile, what I do is I will consider the 90th position. I meant 90th percentage position. So what is the 90% of 10? It is 9, right? Because we have 10 values and 90% of 10 is 9. So now I start counting from below 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what is the ninth value? I take that value 10. So that is my 90th percentile. Now why do I do this? Any guess? So if like again now if I 100 values, so which value I need to take? I need to take the 90th value. If I have 1000 values, I need to take the 900th value. So why I do this? Any guess? Is it a correct method to do? Okay, so now let's try to understand this average. Okay, now I have two numbers, one or three numbers, 155 and 2. So what will be the average of this three numbers? 58 by 3, right? That is my average, correct? Now this 55, is it closer to this 1 and 2?
No.
No. But is, and what about my average 58 by 3? Around like let's say 20, right? Around 20. So my response time was 1, 2, 3 in that way. But due to this 55, my average went to 20. Is it correct? It has to be closer to some 1 or 2, no? It shouldn't be closer to that much high, right? So now if I calculate the same 90th percentile, okay. So what I do, I sort this first, 55, 2, 1, and I take the 90th percentile of that. That means around the second position I will take. So my 90th percentile will be 2. Which is closer, this one or this one?
20 is closer.
2 is closer, correct. That's why we take the 90th percentile to avoid these higher values, which are like some exorbitant wrong results, right? Due to some our test data or something. Like when you have some 100 values, like my let's say my I have some 100 values, okay, my response time. So I have some 99, then 10, 9, 8, 7, and all those. So this 99 automatically will be omitted, because if I add this into my average will be very much different. So I take the 90th percentile, I omit this 99, because this 99 was caused due to some error in my test data or something, and I will analyze it later. Later means like why this spike occurred, I analyze it later, but I will not give it in the average because it is wrong. If I add it in the average, my average will be very high. It's a wrong result which I give, correct? Getting my point, everyone? Why we give 90th percentile?
Yes. So in report, as you mentioned, we have to go from downwards. Is it mandatory to check 90% from downwards or upwards? It may.
See, now why I said downwards is the word is 90th percentile. No, that's why. What you can do is you can start from top 10 also.
Okay.
Yeah. But only thing is mainly sorting. Okay. This part people forget. We have to sort it, not the way which we get it. We have to sort it high to low.
So in HTML reports, it's get in sorted format or we have to sort it.
Yeah. So in your reports, what you get automatically, your tool will do it. You will get the 90th percentile directly. You don't
Okay.
need to do that. Yeah, yeah. But if someone asks you this question in interview, you need to know, no? Like what is this
Okay.
90th percentile? And why do we use it? Yeah. So that's why what this is the background of that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's the throughput and that's the time. So now you would have seen, like you would have understood, like when you are doing some performance testing, you need to simulate the request, right? So whenever I plan some performance test, so how do I plan it? So what, like let's say I have a login transaction. Okay, the login is what I need to do. So I have a login. So what I do, I plan it in such a way that I need to hit like let's say 100 requests per minute. Okay, this is my SLA or service level agreement. Like, okay, this much login should happen. My client is saying to me, okay, my application should be able to handle this many requests per minute. Now, from this request per minute, I need to find out how many users I need to use to hit this much request per minute. So that's where I try to model it inside my tool, right? So so to simulate this 100 requests per minute, I need a tool because can a single person generate this much request?
No, not possible.
No, right? It's more sort of see, it's one person can maybe let's say that request is taking 1 second. Okay, so continuously that person hits. So 60 requests per minute he can. But what if that request is 3 seconds? Like that request is taking 3 seconds. How can you achieve 100 requests per minute? You can't. So there has to be two, three users there who are doing continuously, like simultaneously, right? So that's where the users come into play. Okay, you need multiple users, and that's where the tool comes into play, whichever tool you're using. So to simulate that users, right, the user behavior, we use the tool. And how do you use this tool to simulate that behavior? You script. First, you do a scripting. So that scripting is the procedure where that user activity is defined. What activity it is doing, the user is doing, like whether it is login or whether it is ordering, whether it is reading the menu, what he is doing, that is defined inside the scripting. Okay, so when we come to scripting, we will be learning regarding that. Then obviously more the users, you add more load, right? Then getting test statistics and results, that's what performance testing tools do, right? Then when performance testing is done, so generally if you see the software testing life cycle, or when this performance testing happens, most of the time it happens for only a functionally stable application. So functional testing will happen first, and then only the performance. Now, there are some exceptional cases like some error scenarios and all, which you don't cover in performance. Error scenarios means like, uh, because error scenarios are very low load scenarios. Low load scenarios means like, let's say I am entering a form, okay, and I enter my name wrong. Like, I put some number in my name column, name form, okay. So that number is not accepted as a name, okay, but it throws error. So that's an error scenario, okay. But does this error scenario occur frequently compared to the non-error scenario? No, right? So error scenarios will occur only rarely. So that's why error scenarios are not covered inside performance testing. It doesn't come. We always focus on the success scenarios. Getting my point, everyone?
Yes.
Any doubt in this? What I meant? It will be more clear as we progress. If still if you have some doubt. Okay, so that's where, so performance testing always happens after functional testing. Okay, so whatever functions we need to test, if that is ready, we do go for testing. Otherwise, we don't start the testing. Okay, because the main reason is, first of all, if your system is not functionally stable, you can't test for non-functional stability. Okay, so it has to be stable first functionally. Then only we can test for non-functional stability. Okay. So if you speak about the phases which are there in the performance, we have scenario identification, then we record the script, then we have the script enhancements which we do, and putting the load and executions that we do later on. So that's how your performance testing phases will progress, right? So let me quickly go to JMeter and show you one simple scenario. Since this is the last, I guess the demo sessions, maybe I don't know. Maybe they have one more session. I don't know. But yeah, so if you have any queries, you can ask now. I can clear that queries. Anything till now what we took? or anything related to even the previous session what you have or what we are going to cover in the future sessions. Any question you can ask now.
Only timings, evening timings.
Yeah. So evening timings, as I said, we will discuss with the audience and major like see. Anyways, I keep flexibility of my time two times, like morning and the evening. So whatever the audience will say, as per the majority audience, we can plan once the regular batches start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vishnu, sorry to interrupt, but I feel mornings should be good because most of them would be occupied with client calls or whatever, right? So
Yes. Yes.
for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. Correct.
the same time would work for me, Vishnu, 8 to 9:30.
Correct. Yes. 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 Yeah. So that's what Soumya. So generally we will.
Yeah.
If anyone has some issues also, I will not change the time
Okay.
because that's what yeah all about. So but if
Yeah.
in case like majority like 80 90% are saying okay let's go for evening,
Mhm. Yeah.
uh yeah, so it's like a democracy.
Of course. Yeah.
So yeah, so
So, when is the plan to start the actual sessions? I understand that this is the flow that we go with, but when do we get a confirmation in case of any changes in the timings and all?
nothing like that. So it's like tomorrow no, tomorrow we have a session. It's Friday, right? Sorry, I
Hmm.
lose the time. Okay, today is
Hmm.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so we will be having next session Monday. So
Hmm.
it and most probably because generally what happens is sessions are, this is the first session or obviously the
Right.
demo is over last time.
Right.
So last
Right.
session. So this is the first
Right.
session. So now we will be continuing like around 20 sessions, 20
Oh.
21 sessions continuously. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Not 20. The first two sessions generally I take an hour, not more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But after Monday onwards, it will be 1.5 hours. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so it will be a regular sessions from Monday. And timings, as I said, Soumya, mostly it will be morning only
Okay.
because that's what most of the audience now they have joined thinking. Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't
Yeah.
change that time later on.
Sure.
But yeah, as per the audience discussion, we can plan.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Thanks, Vish.
yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I guess I am shooting with the time today. So any question, anyone? I can pick up any question, or else we can stop here for today. We can continue on Monday.
Vishnu, I have one question regarding the tools.
Yeah, 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 Kula.
So what is difference between means usually we use Postman for API testing,
Mm, yeah.
and
Mm.
what is the JMeter also is API testing tool?
No,
Difference
no.
between
See,
Postman and JMeter.
yeah, good question. Good question, Sadiq. So basically, see, Postman is you are hitting only one request, okay? Only for
Mm-hmm.
API, okay, or or maybe some request you are hitting. But in JMeter, it's not like that. You can hit 100 requests per second also, or 1,000 requests per second, or even 1 lakh requests per second. There's no limitation as because there is no license in related to JMeter. Only thing is more request you hit, more resource you need. I mean the CPU or the memory, what you have, no, it's more. So that's why. But Postman is not like that. You can't hit 100 requests per second, right? In Postman,
Yes, like in this thread group there are multiple threads. So in
correct.
Postman it's not able there.
Correct.
Okay,
And
okay.
also there are multiple other things also. Like for example, in Postman you can't maybe you can write a code in the Postman to hit multiple requests with some conditions. Okay. But in JMeter it is very easy to simulate that whole scenario because it's not one request which we hit, Sadiq. That's the point here. It's basically a
Okay.
end-to-end scenario which we hit. Like for example, you have an e-commerce store. A user is going into login, then he will go to the catalog, then he will add the product to the cart. Then from cart he will go to the checkout. Checkout he will pay. Then he will go to the payment, and then the order is placed. The whole scenario will be executed in JMeter, not only one.
Mhm.
Okay. Now these one, the login, the cart, the checkout, all these are one requests, right?
Yes, right.
So this all
So
will be
virtual
together.
users you can add in thread group. Sorry, in JMeter.
Correct, correct. So this we need to properly what we can say. We need to properly model. Okay, so that you can do easily in JMeter, but in Postman you can't do that.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank
Okay, and even think time. Like, see, what is the think time? If let's say if there is one request and the next request need to go after 5 seconds.
you. Yes,
Okay,
right.
so I can easily plan that. Okay, even there are multiple things which you can do to make it more closer to the real world, how a real user will be using it.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the things. Not only JMeter, any performance testing tool. Okay, that's what these performance testing tools do. Only thing is JMeter, it's an open source tool, so there is no license limitation. So let's say if you have a load runner or if you have some neo load, which is a paid tool, you have user limitation, like more than 50 users or 100 users, whatever your license is, you can't hit. But in JMeter, there is no limitation. Only thing is you need more resources, like more CPU. If you are hitting some 1,000 users, if your local machine is not able to handle that much, you need to add more CPU to your test.
Yes, right.
Yeah, that also we'll learn how we do that. Okay, as we progress. This will be very, really, very. I guess very. This batches will be very, very interesting because we will have some new generation technologies also to learn. Not only that JPEG store or some normally available applications which generally people use. So it will be very interesting because what I meant to say is you learn a lot of new things. Because Kubernetes, if people get feared listening to this word, but it's very simple. Okay, if you try to understand as a tester, it is very simple. Okay, because development we are not interested. So for Kubernetes as a tester, whatever is required, that I will give you. Okay, so and it will be very easy for you to crack the interviews also when someone asks you regarding Kubernetes, because they also will be looking for as a tester perspective only, not a development.
Yes. In
Yes,
fact, they are
but when
asking for Docker and Kubernetes as well.
correct. But when you go online and when you start learning only Kubernetes or Docker, it will be like a developer. Okay, and it will be lot of things to take. Okay, because um, they will be covering everything, but you don't need all those. Okay, as a tester. So that's what I will be giving you, like an essence.
Yes. And also we are
Okay.
going to cover any cloud tools, AWS.
Cloud, I use Google Cloud currently because they have a free trial which everyone can use easily. But but it's very easy compare like AWS also. Like I meant it's easily comparable. So when I take the Google Cloud each section, I can compare it with AWS also. I meant I can call out like the in AWS you need to go to this option for that. Okay, and
Okay.
90 only maybe 10% is or 20% is a place where this cloud dependency will come. The 80% you are doing it inside that machine. Okay, it will be an Ubuntu machine or so Ubuntu, if you know Ubuntu, whether it's AWS or Google Cloud or whatever, the machines will be same,
Okay.
right? Yeah. Okay, so okay, yeah, I don't want to take more of your time today, so if no more questions we can stop here.
Vishnu, I know you're running late, but I would not take more than a minute. So, quick question: as you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
called
sure.
out that you're gonna cover Dockers and Kubernetes in this session, right? Just wanted to check in case if you have any plans to accommodate a basics of CI/CD, which is like triggering JMeter test from GitLab or so. Is it possible
Actually, I
or
can go through, though I won't be able to demo it because I don't know, there will be enough time for that. I meant
Mhm.
live, but I can give some basics like
Oh,
how we do it, how you set up a pipeline. Maybe if, but that too, I don't commit now. It will be
uh-huh.
only as per time, as per time. So yeah,
Agreed. Okay.
yeah, yes,
Thanks, Vishnu, for confirming.
yeah, sure, sir. Yeah, or else I will
Yes,
share good, as I said, good materials I will share. You can always come back to me with the questions
Sure.
for CICD. Yeah, I can
Okay.
clear those. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
as
Neeraj?
you told that, yes, as you told that we are also going to learn the bean shell scripting, right? So
Correct, correct.
in a company like some people, performance testing team is using a Blaze meter, something like on
Hmm.
cloud. right? So
Yeah,
if I am able to do a bean shell scripting in a simple JMeter, uh, do we can use those scripts in BlazeMeter or any other means add-on or something like that if we are proceeding for the cloud?
correct, correct. So Bean Shell is a common language. Okay, you can use it in any other tool also.
Okay.
Yeah, only
And
you need to know
as
how do you import it. That's all. That you can easily get. Like for example, how you import JMeter to load runner. If you type in the internet itself, you will get the procedure. It's very easy to import.
as we are testing doing testing for the application in different browsers and different versions of the browsers, right?
Correct.
So do there is any kind of specification in means JMeter also, like how the application is performing in Chrome or we can say Mozilla or other browsers,
Yes,
if
yes.
we
So
want any kind of
basically,
additional
correct.
reports?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you do a GUI test for that to analyze different browsers. So that we can do in JMeter. I will show you how we do that. Neeraj?
Got it. Yes, got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So
So anyone?
Vishnu, one more question.
Yeah, yeah, Murli, go ahead.
So yeah, regarding like no regarding the scripts in JMeter, okay. Generally
Yeah.
in organization they don't allow to the configure the proxy and all, right? So do you have any
Okay.
alternative way to record the scripts?
You will have to sit and type it. So if that's optional, you will have to go to that. If it's a web service, you go to the website, do a inspect element, and you need to type.
Okay,
Because proxy is the only way which you can record. Uh, what I meant to say is, without proxy, you can't use any other tool, right? Fiddler, Charles. Is that your question, Murli?
correct. Yes,
Right.
correct. Even you can't
So
use the
if
other like no
correct,
tools
correct. So
also.
then
Yeah.
only way is you need to get the request and you need to build it manually.
Okay, but it will take lot of time, right, to
Yeah, it will take
simulate
time,
that.
correct. Because no other tool can do that. Even load runner, new load, without proxy, no tool can record anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, Vishnu then.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. But I guess that they can whitelist. I meant, see, you are a performance tester, they know JMeter you're using. If you speak to the DevOps or the development team, they can whitelist your IP for proxy, okay? So only your proxy will work, Murli.
Okay, okay, Vishnu.
That's
Understood.
what
Thank
generally
you.
happens. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone? Um, Shansha, Pushpak, Vishal, Lavanya, Soumya, any questions? Anusha, Srikanth,
Good from my end, Vishnu.
Dubal. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Since we don't have further questions, we can stop here. We can continue on Monday. Have a good weekend, all, and meet you on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Vishnu. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.